Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa. But we've been away for a week. So we're back again this week, slowly easing into it because I have a very precious little human visiting me at the moment who gets priority in my life. So that's the way that it is right now. But very happy to introduce to you everyone today. Alobar Jones, all the way again from Australia, as we have our focus on Australia on a Monday morning. And I'm just going to read this out. Professional exorcist who manages a group of astral travelers to exterminate the evil that is dominating our planet. So before I do a further introduction, Alobar, I just want to say good morning, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on Solutions today. How are you?
Good evening from Australia. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, it's been a beautiful day, and I love talking about this stuff. As far as I know, I'm the only person publicising this work, and of a very small group of people actually doing this kind of work. So it's really good to be able to share what sort of good, positive mischief our crew has been up to.
Well, I have to say, um, you're the first of this type of caliber of career. I want to put it that way because I have no words. Other than that, it's not a job, it's a calling. I get it. That I've spoken to, because I have to say, I'm usually pretty suspicious about these kind of activities. But
Yeah.
for various reasons, okay. I mean, I'm able to see into spirit realms and things like that. So that's something I've had within me since I was born, basically. So I see a lot of things that is very hard to describe and define when it comes to the average human being, right? And I don't mean any disrespect when I say that.
No.
However, when we had a chat the other day, I have to say I really like where you come from. I like what your intention is. I like watching some of the things that you've put out. So I'm very keen to chat with you further and to hear what it is that you guys are actually up to. So, but before we get there, I'd love to know a bit about you. I mean, this is a very
Okay.
interesting path that you're following, right? So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting character that's going to follow this path, right? And I'm very
Right.
interested in that. I love humans. I love the sustenance. I love the richness of your fiber. So it takes someone with a lot of richness in spirit to be able to do what you're doing. And I so see that in you. I look at that mandala behind you, and it's so beautiful. It kind of tells me a lot about you anyway. So, very keen to hear about your beginnings and how you actually got on to doing what you're doing.
Well, how do I say it? There is a really high risk when you go deep, deep into mysticism. There's a really high risk that you become a space cadet. And
Yeah.
I've been lucky, yeah. And when you're talking about, you meet a lot of people and you're sort of not sure of everybody. I have the same feelings, like some people get caught in caught in some sort of cul-de-sac, and it's been a tricky, tricky game to do that. And so I pride myself on being grounded and able to talk about football and
Right.
the conditions of the war on the astral planes right now. So with equal gusto and enthusiasm. So it's anyway. So
Yeah.
how did I get here? I um I used to be in Alcoholics Anonymous, and they gave me a management position there. And what I found is that the 12-step program has a plateau. It'll only take you so far up. And when I started looking around for other things that worked, it was the hippies. After going to the Christians and the Buddhists and the American self-help groups like Landmark and things like that, it was the hippies who actually had the juice, and all they wanted was money. So it was actually really, really easy. and it started a journey that sort of took over my life. And what I found really quite early, I'd say within the first 6 or 8 months of me starting to meditate and visualize stuff, was that everybody in the anonymous clubs has a parasite spirit or a pain body or a negative entity or a Klingon or whatever it was. You know, every single one. And I thought this was pretty important. It's really important. So and there was nobody in the city I was living in, Perth, that could actually teach me how to deal with them effectively. So I spent 4 months clearing the first one off me because it took me that long to figure it out. And when I did, like I go, oh, right. This is how normal people feel. Like,
I'm just interested. Sorry, I want to just interject. I hear you loud and clear when you talk about anyone with any addiction, really, whether it's alcohol, food, cigarettes, drugs, sex, pornography, whatever. Any addiction would really then obviously be attracting that leechy energy. So, of course, it leeches off you. You then, it's never enough. It's time.
100%.
Yeah.
It's constantly calling for your attention, And, you know, there are multiple different avenues through which these demons can enter the body. You know, and pain bodies and negative entities are just one of them. Though I will say that the connection between addiction and demons is a perfect dovetail. They cannot exist without each other. You know,
when you talk about a demon, I want to just clarify that as well, because we speak a lot with, I don't know if you know Jesse Zabota, we deal with a lot of very religious Christian type people as well that are obviously in this SRA disgusting world, and there's a lot of demonic entities, and they have names, and they're all the generals in the satanic army. And
the Christians are only talking about one faction, that faction that has Lucifer at the top of the food chain, who's the general. You know, he's what we class as a pan-galactic demon. He's a demon who inhabits beings on multiple planets across multiple parallel realities. And these kinds of guys are the infection that's making this area of the multiverse suck right now. And planet Earth is just about to go, it has its choice right now to go into its death spiral or its renaissance, just depending on whether or not we keep those guys here or not. And our team, the last count is that there are 18 pan-galactic demons resident here on Earth. In this,
and you're saying Lucifer is just one. Yes. So you're saying, okay, so the Christians would have Lucifer. So you're saying that there are different religions or denominations that would all have their version of the devil, so to speak, right?
It depends on who you're talking to. Like, you know, like for the Muslims, they call them the jinn or genies. And, you know, for the Hebrews, they call them Ouija, or where we get the word Ouija board. In India, they're called Budpret. In the Chinese religion, they're called Mogwai. Every religion has some description of them. Let's say, Confucianism or Hinduism. They're probably not talking about Lucifer. I actually did find... what's his name? Metatron, a version of Metatron in Buddhism. Like they got different names for him, but it's the same guy. You know, just as the goddess Kali is the same goddess as Sekhmet, who is also the same goddess as. She'll come to me in a second. Look, these different religions all independently come up with their assessment of the situation, and they match because they're dealing with the same things. Like, but if you go back in time and you look at what these guys are talking about, every religion talks about them. They only have a very limited amount of written material because it's very expensive and difficult to write. And every single one of them, what do you want to tell your forebears? What do you want to tell your children? They all warn about these guys. They all spend a lot of time explaining to you what life encourages them and what life doesn't, and how horrible and nasty and terrible they are. And and I would also go as far as to say they are humanity's worst enemy by a long shot. Though most wouldn't acknowledge they exist.
But wouldn't all these demonic entities really be part of humanities? And I understand it makes perfect sense to me that you say Lucifer is just pretty much for Christian denomination. I know definitely with a lot of the Eastern teachings, everything, there's a flip side, there's an underbelly to each and everything. And yes, there's a lot of the Kalis and the whatever it is. I can't even remember their names all now as well.
Kali,
yeah. But now, would that not be really representing the shadow side of humanity? So in other words, really representing our weakness.
Nothing funny about it. These Pangalactics created it. And I've got a really good example of what we're finding here, right? And there's this deity called Dark Sophia. Now, Dark Sophia is she's the deity of sexual perversion and feminine victimhood. So, and her biggest goal is to use sex to draw people in and then play a bully victim game with them. And it echoes through feminism and the gender movements right now. But she's been really, really, really ramped up in the last couple of decades. Since you'll love what we found. Like we were starting to dismantle her bit by bit, and it's a big job. And our teams work very, very hard to literally tear her apart and get so that she no longer has a presence here. But one of the key things that she's done, like she's the goddess of sexual perversion. And so internet porn has just been a delight for her. And we found one of the dimensions where she stores the orgasm energy that is devoted to her. The orgasm energy from porn is devoted to her. And we found the room where she stores those batteries, we'll call it, each orgasm being a battery. And the number of batteries she had there, like the number had 16,000 zeros on that number. Like that's a lot, and it's not just and that's what's been fueling her ascent and her primacy and her her Trojan horse of getting all of these gender issues thrown into the forefront of our culture and pushing this child sexualization, this gender mix and match, this all of the weirdness that's coming through here. Like I even heard about a child attracted movement for the child attracted, and we should feel sorry and empathy for pedophiles. Like this is how attraction this deity is in our planet right now. She's bad news.
I love this talk because it makes a lot of sense because I think it's high time. I mean, I've studied a lot of the Eastern philosophies and things as well, and we understand that there's a lot, where there's light, there's dark, and they do not believe, they don't have a Satan or the devil or Lucifer the way that the Christian religion has, but they certainly have other things. And the whole objective, for example, of Buddhism is to transcend those fears, right, and transcend those the suffering of humanity. And of course, these would be all these things that tap in, leech off humanity's suffering. So the more we suffer, the fatter they get, and the fatter they get, the more they want suffering, so that they can even consume more. It's like a greedy beast, right?
It's viral. Yeah, and they love it. They can't get enough of that sort of thing,
And I think, it's very important for us to realize that the invisible creates the visible. So we as human beings...
And the second hermetic law is as above, so below. Not as below, so
Yeah.
above. No, as above, so below. So what's going on upstairs dictates what manifests here. So we got to get that right, and we got to get these nefarious actors out of the picture.
Exactly. And I think we as human beings are in such a position because, especially at this stage, we can't operate without our bodies. We need our bodies, which is why we really have to take care of our bodies and realize these bodies are our, when people say we're going to get lifted off by some supernatural force, that's not going to happen. Your body is that. You've got to transcend, and you've got to work with your body.
This is I believe the Galactic Federation tried this stuff, and you can't rescue somebody who doesn't want to be rescued,
Yeah.
This is what we're going through right now is actually a test of humanity to travel from adolescence to adulthood and independence. If we can get ourselves right, if we can be responsible for ourselves, then we don't need mum and dad to look after us. We don't, or the government or a pedagogic group to tell us how to run our lives. We never needed that. But
exactly. And it's really good. Okay, I'm getting a little bit carried away here because I find this conversation extremely interesting. But just for the benefit of our viewers, I'd like to just go back to when you obviously, I know we also spoke about you being to AA, seeing certain things, then trying all the different Christian religions, the Eastern philosophies, etc., trying to find what it is that was working for you. You then spoke about this where you were doing this work on astral projection. What I'm interested in is how do we know? Wait, before I get there, I want to just say this. We must remember we pray all the time for God and whoever to come and save the earth and what have you. God doesn't come down and save the earth in a puff of light. We all are co-creators with God. So all of us that are listening and in tune with our creative source or our divine source will know that God sends us out on tasks. We don't know what these tasks are. We respond to them, right? Yeah. So a lot of people who haven't opened their minds yet can't understand that people get to be given tasks like you are, right? So I want to know how do I know, never mind anyone else, how do I know that you guys that are doing this stuff are, and please don't even talk about a white hat or a black hat to me. I'm not even interested in that kind of talk. Yeah. I want to know, well, how do we know that you guys that are doing this, you that's heading up this galactic mission, so to speak, are in your integrity? How do I know that I'm having someone on my show who's cool?
Okay. So I talk about demons, and how do you know that I'm not infected? Is that the question that you're asking? Okay. Because I'm not a space cadet, right? But I get what you're saying. So I wouldn't, if I was in league with them, knowingly or unknowingly, then I wouldn't spend all my time bashing them. I wouldn't spend all my time forming together posses to go and hunt them down. Right? That's not like literally. Yeah. That's my full role at the moment. And this is actually what I came to Earth for. Right? Yeah, I mean, you've heard of the 144,000, right? These seeded souls, right? Well, I figured out where my soul came from, and I floated over to that planet and go, hey, what am I doing here? What was the mission plan again? And they did recruit 144,000 based on resumes. Like these guys are good at this. These guys have got the code for divine union or community or family or whatever it might be. Like these guys are here to bring forth birth that fresh idea. What I was doing on Procyon, because that's the planet that I came from, I was number 3 in their planetary military, and my job was to keep these guys off of that planet Procyon. Now, and I had, they gave me a giant villa and unlimited money, and all the staff and concubines and everything I could dream of to allow me to focus on this. And planet Earth hasn't been as generous yet, but I'm sure it will be. But because of my resume to as a military spiritualist, I think, is that the word I'm going to use? Yeah, I suppose it is.
Yeah.
Then, when I come here, my natural instinct is to do that, and it's working fine. It's working great. Like, the people I'm working with are talented people. Oh my God, I'm so lucky to have these guys in my phone book. These guys are awesome. I know that nothing bad will ever happen to me again while I've got, some like my phone book is full of A-grade wizard after A-grade wizard. I can't go wrong. Everything's going to be easy from here forward.
So how do you, when these guys come to you and they say they want to join you, what is the process that you go about signing these guys up? I mean, what is the protocol?
First thing we do is we get them to
resume have to look like.
Well, no, the first thing we do is we get them to send us a fresh photo. So take a photo right now, send it to us, and I'll scan it. If I think that their consciousness is too infected, or if they've got unsavory plans for us, then that's it. They're disposed of immediately. But before I dispose of somebody, I'll pass it around to a couple of other teammates, and whether they, we haven't disagreed yet. After that, there's an interview where I see, is this person a space cadet or not? And I'd say that with all kindness. But you want to be able to, there is a time to be mystic and step into mystic lands and talk mysticism and ideas and feelings and be in the language of that. But you also have to be able to step out of it.
Yes.
Step in it when you need it and step out of it. If you're an engineer and you can't talk about anything except engineering, I'm sorry, I don't want to be your friend. I will call you up when I have engineering problems, maybe. But, as far as that, I just want people who can switch it on and off, right? And then if they pass that test, then we go on a short mission. We do what do you call it? Like a patrol. Anyway, nothing big. Like, we don't go after anything big. We just go take something bite-sized, and I stand back and watch them go at it. And if they've got the goods, if they've got the skills required to do it, great. Then they're in. Then they come along, and that's great. If they don't have the skills, then I'm sorry. I like doing that, but we need this kind of skill set.
I love what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt then. I mean, I'm so with you on that. When you say you scan the photograph, that's exactly what I do. So I know when you said that to me the other day, I just started chuckling, because even though I want to just say this to other people.
Is it?
Yes. I'm saying to people that when, everything is energy. So when you've learned and you trust yourself and you understand your own frequency, you're able to do that. It's like an X-ray. We can look at a picture and I'll be able to tell very quickly certain things from that when I'm looking for it. Don't worry, I don't do that, or I hope not. Everyone else.
I describe that as like you have to read. You read a book, right? You've got to read you can glance past a dozen books. You can glance past a dozen photos, but you have to stop and read the blurb. You have to stop and concentrate to get that sort of information about people.
Yeah, exactly. So that is very possible. And when you said that to me, I just was chuckling, because I knew that's a very accurate way of actually doing it. So there's nothing better than actually using that, because that truly is our God-given superpower. Interested to know what when you're talking as well. I mean, so you've got your team of guys out there. What happens if they get wounded or hurt or something? How, is that a spiritual thing, or does it manifest in the physical as well? I'm interested to know about that.
Okay. So we've only ever had that once, right? Now, we have stealth that is impenetrable, right? Nobody knows we're there. right? And one of our teammates snuck up on Lucifer and stabbed him in the back using the stealth suits that we have. And like, it's pretty impressive. It was very, very impressive. But we did have one instance where one guy, he didn't follow protocol. You know, and we have a number of tricks, like if we find something aggressive, you know. And on this particular mission, we had too many people. You know, usually we limit it to 4, maybe 5, but I think we had 7 on this group. And the group split up. Like I forget exactly what we were pursuing, but as it turns out, we started on this theme, then the team split up, and we followed it down through 2 different channels of dumps, and there was a tunnel interlinking these 2 dumps. And in it was one of the worst beasts I've ever seen. It was like, it could be liquid or solid at any given moment, like that Terminator 2 thing, you know? Yeah. Hang on a second. Can you just give me a second? Hey, guys. I'm on an interview. I love you, but I can hear you as well. So can the rest of the world. Could you take the conversation elsewhere, pretty please? Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
I love it.
Sorry, did you hear that, or did you not hear that?
There was a bit of a blank for a while, so as we didn't hear the rest of the conversation that your family was obviously having. Don't worry.
No, you know, you guys don't need to know everything that's going on in the house. I'm sure I was saying something really riveting and you know, really clever and life and all that sort of stuff. But do you remember what I was talking about? Sorry, that's totally.
I was just okay. Where I was
worst beast we ever found, right?
Yes,
that's right. And you know, and everybody took a step back. Oh, okay, we got to be careful with this one. And one dude just charged at her with a sword, and I just thought, and he got hurt, and you know, when I caught up to him, you know, before it became serious, and used a time freeze. Like you can use a time. We have a time freeze bubble. We have that technology with us, and then captured it in its own dimension and carried it away to be safely disposed on the surface of the sun. You know, portaled it out there and just got bloody rid of it. But you know, there are ways of doing things and there are ways of not doing things. And this was the last time that guy flew with us, because you know, we also spent the next 2 weeks monitoring him, and we flew his spirit up to a Galactic Federation of Light medbed. They decided, the GFL decided not to stick with just the medbed, but took him to the med surgery tank, which is like the med bed looks about the size of a hospital bed, but this surgery tank was 20 feet across. It was a big deal. And we monitored him for about 2 weeks before the infection was fully cleared. Looking forward in time, he would have died from a lung infection in the next 2-3 years. Just from that contact, just that little bit of coding, just that little bit of change. They only needed to tweak 1 or 2 cells in his body to do that, and that's what it took the Galactic Federation of Light 2 weeks to resolve. So we're careful, and for people who are not careful with us, and look, you know, if you're going to be a liability, if we have to rescue you, then you probably shouldn't fucking be there. Generally.
Yeah, I would say that's probably not the best thing to be doing. You actually made a recording that I watched, which I found very interesting as well, and I'd maybe like to touch a little bit on that.
Sure.
You spoke about the splitting of the Earth, right? You know, at this point, we're at a time now where we are able to go either this way or that way. So call it a timeline split, a timeline shift.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that, please?
Okay. So I had to explain this a couple of times over the last 2 weeks, that the word timeline and the word parallel reality are both used under the word timeline. Like, people talk about both of those things with the word timeline. Now, timeline, I'll go through a few quick principles. The whole of the Earth is has its own is a reality, is a single reality, and together we are all co-creating what happens on Earth and where it what features, what occurrences happen here. And so we are all co-creating the timeline on a continuous basis. Now, the dark team makes 6 chess moves a day. The light team, we make 6 chess moves a day. And the board is constantly changing and everything's constantly in flux. And so over the last 2 years, we've been watching the frequency dip and raise and dip and raise and dip and raise. And right now we've risen it to a point of, because we've been eliminating so many of their personnel. We've been running factions off planet, left, right, and center, and destroying as many plans as they have upstairs, as above, so below. If we take it out up above, then it never comes to pass down below. Now, there were better timelines available to us that we didn't catch, and there are a lot of much worse timelines than the one we're on right now. Now, what happened is that the co-creation, or the calculation of co-creation, like what everybody wants goes into a box, and then everybody what comes out of it is what everybody wants, whether they like it or not, right? We call that manifestation. But what happened was that these two groups, like the ones who want the freedom Renaissance Earth and the ones who want the control technocratic state, those guys, their co-creation became incompatible. Like, you can't have a technocratic control state next to a freedom and Renaissance state. The two of them just they're incompatible. And the result was that Earth decided to duplicate into not 2 timelines, but into 2 parallel realities. You saw a little bit of it in the latest Doctor Strange movie, where it was all about parallel reality. So we're just bouncing them all right and center. But, and if you're up to date with the Mandela effect, that was the merging of 2 parallel realities. Now, people call them timelines. Technically, it's not perfectly accurate, but it'll bloody well do for now. Because, this art has not been developed to the point where the language is sound or even common amongst all of the practitioners,
Yeah, we're learning a whole new way of speaking. I've realized as well. Everything is shifting right now. Okay, so what you're saying, it's a parallel reality that is occurring. So we are now obviously choosing to be in the hellhole, or to actually create a new Earth for us. I don't want to say new world, but a new Earth, because a new world, or it's just too much.
Yeah, language. You can't say NWO around here.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got the new world order and the new Earth. New world order, new Earth.
Yeah, and the NWO get the world they always dreamed of, and they get the reality, and that's Earth's death spiral. That's it. That's the end of human culture, and that's and those guys, they don't have enough self-control to keep their breeding stock of human cattle alive for very long. They will destroy it, and they will devour them all, and then devour each other. And that's just who they are and what they're about. However, if we're being rather successful in pushing a lot of these nefarious characters off planet and getting them the hell away from us, destroying the infrastructure of loosh extraction in many, many different ways. And there's as many ways they're doing it as your imagination can fulfill. They've had thousands of years of free reign and free movement to create as many different ways to extract loosh out of humans as they could think up, and they've done them all.
Let's just expand on the word loosh, because I know there's a lot of people that are asking me about it. I would like to know as well, what is your definition of what loosh is?
Loosh is okay. So humans they're connected to the big G, the singularity source, or whatever you want to call that, right? And because of that, we are a fountain of energy. Now, the bad guys are not fountains of energy. They hate the big G, the singularity or source or whatever you want to call it. But they still need the energy. There is no, because it's called the source, because there's no other source of energy. And so their whole game is to prey upon undereducated populations like the one on this planet, who don't know about this sort of stuff. Their only method of survival is to prey upon other beings and extract loot. Now, to extract the source energy that humans produce.
So Loosh would be the source energy, really, that you could flavor it any way. I mean, I would imagine you could use it for positive or negative.
Yeah, well, and every emotion is just a different flavor, right? And and part of what we're doing here is exploring as many different emotions as we can as part of our soul's remit to incarnate here. But yeah, look, there are flavors that these guys prefer, and those the flavors they prefer are, well, the big word is, if you had to put an umbrella word in there, it's fear, but anger, loathing, aggression, sadness, despair, like that, and the list goes on. But if there's also there's something that's worth noting, is that happiness is actually a health issue. If you're constantly in fear, then your adrenal glands are active, and if your adrenal glands are active, then there's a lot of your body gets shut down. And you see jail inmates like who've had their adrenal glands active on high alert for a long time. Those guys are incredibly unhealthy people, and for men over 45. If they spend 3 months in jail, like they're having a heart attack in the next 5 years, guaranteed. It's a death sentence, because all they're doing is creating fear or creating aggression or any number of great emotions that happen in jail. But it's actually a health issue. Happiness is how you live forever. It's how you live a long life. Like I saw a study of an American Indian woman who lived to the age of 250. Her advice is love everybody, be as generous as you can, and keep caring about everybody. And and everything she owns, she just shares with people, and everybody loves her because she laughs all the time. And she got to 250 years old. She's watching her great grandkids die because they can't get the picture.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's true. Happiness, your cells are listening. We understand that your state of mind and your emotions are your fuel for your well-being, really, or not. So it's very important, and it's true, that so they really are after that flavor, and the human energy, source energy. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's very.
You'll love this one. Like, what we're finding is the narcissist or the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, somebody from that cluster, and their victim both carry an agent or a demon from that faction, right? Like all of it. Okay. And the demons meet and provoke each other with that narcissistic energy, that victim bully sort of stuff, all of the crazy things that go on in those psychopath relationships, The demons create the handshake and they spark it, and then the two people just create and fuel and create them. Create all of the energy that these beings could ever dream of. It's like the demons in them are responsible for the relationship, not the humans. But the humans are just tortured by it infinitely.
My opinion is the humans have created that host body. When we look at alchemy and understand, alchemy of the human spirit, really, because that's the true alchemy of the human spirit.
Totally.
So that lead, so to speak, lead meets lead, okay? Like attracts like. So until one starts transcending, and that's what I do, and this is where I see a lot of results because I'm an alchemical healer. So you're looking at law of correspondence, law of attraction. There's
Mhm.
always something there that you would be meeting in that other person that matches you exactly. And it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
true. So
yeah.
you feed off that energy with each other, these codependent relationships, businesses, whatever it is, you feed off that fear, it just becomes fatter and fatter until one of you decides to be the hero, right? And step out and move straight back into source energy again. Really, that to me is what it's
Yeah, those the victims of narcissists can be pretty damn battered,
yeah.
emotionally. It's bizarre.
Well, the narcissist has started off being a victim, right? You look at all, you look at the cycle of how they get there. Mostly, it's unhealed wounds. They've had these things repeated on them generation after generation. So it's very
No,
difficult
that's
to,
how it's shared. Yeah.
yeah. So it's really about choosing. We have to be aware. And as you say, I love that story about the 250-year-old lady because that's really what it is. Just like
She got the
living on life.
answer. She got the answer right. What's the best way for humans to live? They laugh for 18 hours a day. Like that's the trick. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so, I've got my granddaughter here and she's 9 and just the most beautiful little thing. And I'm
Oh,
telling you,
people are
we
best.
have the most incredible time. She makes sure I do not, she calls me out on my cussing.
Yeah, why do you need to hear that from a 9-year-old? You're being told off by a 9-year-old. Yeah, no, it's
Totally.
God
The
bless
only one
her.
was like, I'll go, shh, like the SH1T word. And she goes, Granny, say sherbet, sherbet.
Oh,
I'm
God.
like, okay, baby.
When did your mother teach you to turn off the adults in this house? When did that happen?
Exactly. But it's
Yeah.
true, and you surround yourself with beautiful children, and just the beauty of life. It's absolutely, we become
Mm,
ageless at the end of the
mm.
day. So I find that very interesting. But wow, Aldebar, it's been a very, very, very interesting conversation, and I really, really, really want to. I know we're just about out of time here. So,
Mhm.
just is there anything else that you would like to maybe just share with us? With our viewers before we bid you farewell for today?
Have hope, everyone.
Yeah.
Have hope. Like the great medical drama of 2020 was the final card that our evil alien masters had to play. They were trying to rush through something that would bring humanity into its death spiral, and they have failed. You know, be aware that the forces of evil that have tried to perpetrate this are being fought. There are some, humanity has teeth now. Humanity is pushing back. Humanity is kicking the stuffing out of these guys, and they deserve it, and they know it. Have hope because over the last 2 years, the fighting on the astral planes has been horrific, fierce, thick, numerous, continuous, nasty, brutal, and ongoing. And we're at a point now where it's almost complete. It's almost It's almost that they have no more forces left to send here. I think we went through about 10 different factions who all attempted to the takeover of Earth. All of them wanted this prize that is planet Earth, and all of them have been pushed away, all except one. We're down to the last faction, known as the Chimera, who are still trying to claim the planet, and they're losing. They're losing badly, as they always have been.
I
I
think
think,
I
I think
think
it's all, yeah. And so what I'm saying is our revolution is almost at hand. What's our political elites, our financial elites are we're actually catching a lot of the human bodies actually flying down to the South Pole and getting the hell off Earth through a Stargate down there, because they know that the hammer is about to fall on them. And so please be aware that they don't have very much time left here in charge of this planet, and that they will suffer and they will pay for what they've done.
One thing I found very interesting that you said in one of your previous recordings is that since the parallel shift split has occurred, okay, we still have the next 18 months or so we're going to be in for the high jump. And it makes a lot of sense to me, but maybe you'd like to explain to our viewers what you mean by that. Why the next 18 months or so, and what can we expect according to what you've understood and been told and had privy of seeing? What is in store for us over the next 18 months?
The only bargaining chip the Dark Team have had left is whether or not they're going to crash the global economy, and their practice is if they lose, then they just, if I can't have it, nobody will have it, and and there've been negotiations between Galactic Federation of Light and these Dark Teams to what will it take for you to not crash the global economy, because a lot of people are going to get hurt in that scenario, and and I think they're running out of runway to make that decision. And the practice, I can't say for sure, but it's the highest probability of problems we're going to face. Then after that problem, then we have the AI problem, where the AI becomes strong enough to try and take over the world itself. And then after that, we have the problem of we have to stop Earth from being colonized by benevolent aliens. Now, be aware that the reptilians have held the planet for the longest time, but their show is over. Their forces are decimated, and they're down to the last rogues and rebels who refuse to retreat or surrender. But it's a power vacuum, and somebody's going to try and fill it. Now, either us humans get energetic management of the planet under control, and we get to hold the planet as a human culture, or some other group of punks will do it for us, be they reptilian or otherwise. Now, I've just been watching this thing about this guy. This guy's collected a bunch of remote viewers, and he's got them all to look at the year 2060. And we have Homo sapien, and we also have this alien group that's been called Homo superior. And without being funny about it, we don't fucking want those guys here. This is our planet, and we're going to decide what happens here. And I want you to think about the colonial world. And when the English or the Europeans, everywhere they went, they changed and dominated the local culture. Those with the means to travel, with the technology to move forward like that, those are the ones who get to rewrite the cultural story of all of the different colonies they went to. And I, for one, will be fighting and refusing to bow to a colony from any other species in the galaxy. I have no interest in even if they are the Pleiadians, as nice as they bloody well are. And thank you for all your help, and we will commit our forces in the future to helping you liberate other planets. That I promise, myself included. However, no, you don't get to stay here. No, you can have an embassy off-world, but not here. We don't need you. This is the first time that humanity's had the planet all to itself, and we want a bit of space to figure out who we are. We don't want to be trying to imitate or mimic whoever the hell else comes here. Anyway, that's I've got a fair bit of a rant going on that one, but it's the problems that we see in the future. So, it's not an easy ride. This is not a single test. We've got, I can see 4 bases to run to. You know, we've hit the ball. We're just about to hit first base, but we've got to get past the AI on second base and the other planet and the other positive species on third base before we get to a home run, which is our own bloody planet.
What is? I'm interested to know when you're talking like this, because I work with Bryce on a series on Tartaria. I'm not sure. What is your take on that?
I haven't done enough research on it to comment coherently on it, but like, isn't it obvious, like, that humanity was better at everything in the past? I mean, what about all of the artifacts that said there were giants here? Because there really bloody well were. Like,
well, exactly. That's what we're saying, because all of the stuff we're looking into now is proving that we were this much more superior. And when I say superior, I don't mean like in a negative way.
We're more technologically sophisticated in the past. We definitely were. Let there be no doubt. Like,
and then destroyed by the controllers, and on our way to recovering. And and this is what I say to everyone: it's up to us now. No one is saving us. No one is saving us.
We don't want someone to fly down in a giant saucer and go, "We're here to save the world." No, we don't need that. This is not how humanity. This is not how humanity stretches to adulthood. This is not how we birth ourselves into the galactic milieu. We're going to, we're just the Pleiadian sidekick now. No, I don't need, that's not what we're aiming for. That's not the goal. Like, no.
I really think it's up to us to each and every one of us need to stand up in our own sovereign truth. We need to do our bit to pull together as a unified force. Each and every one of us is so important in terms of what we do.
Let's go a step further. Everybody watching this show tonight, let me make this really clear to you. You are responsible. You are it. If you think the world needs rescuing, go out and rescue it. Go into the wardrobe, put on your cape, and go and do something to make this world one step closer to being human dominated rather than whomever else might show up.
Exactly.
Like, this was everybody talks about the 1% and the 99%. It's not it. It was always the 1% versus the 1%. And if you're watching a show like this, chances are you are that 1%. So go and make it happen, people. Put your weight, put your physical force, put your action, put your will behind making this Earth, this planet, a place we all want to live, to taking it to the condition that we want to be in. Yeah. Whoa. So it's all on you guys. Don't wait. I'm working real hard, but I'm not the only one doing it. And I have this opportunity to ask people to volunteer to work with us and create what humanity has never had for itself.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to be putting your details in the chat, in the description section below. You can just send out. We've got your website, etc. That we post in there. If there's anything else that you want us to add, you can just
join my Patreon and make my life easier. I've got a family to feed as well, and if you're on my Patreon, you're just making my life that much easier, which means I can focus more on doing the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah. And we will post all those links. So if you guys are interested in getting in touch with Alobar, I think it's such an important thing to realize. This is how the source or God works, is that all of us are fingers or hands, if you will, from our Creator, from our divine Creator. All of us are called at this time to do our part. And and this is what I see. We've been sitting on this platform for 2 years now. The religious spirits will hurl the most horrific abuse at us and accuse us of this, that, the next thing, and the other. It's not that at all. I think we have to realize God works And we have to realize that this is very real. It's very happening. There's no doubt we're under attack. Everything is pointing in that direction. So those of us who still think by complying with this Luciferian agenda is gonna help
You're
you and
doing
your
the opposite of helping. You're doing the opposite of helping. You're helping our enemy. You're doing what, you're taking commands from our enemies. Are you serious?
You're becoming livestock for them. And that's the bottom line. We have to realize that. So no, thank you. There's no ways I will comply with any of this nonsense. And I hope millions and millions and millions of others also decide to climb on that bus. So again, thank you so much, Alobar. It's been so interesting talking to you.
Really, it's been a pleasure talking with you too, Chantal.
I'd love to have you back again to expand on some other things, because I think there's some very interesting topics, like when we're talking about, let's say, the different religious sects and things, understanding their dark lords and what that is. It's not just one, as you say, there are several. And this universe is so powerful in light and in dark. So it's really up to us to decide which team do we play for. You can either
choose life, guys. Choose life.
By standing up and saying no, they can't touch you because you raise your frequency. And as you raise your frequency, you become too light for them to grab onto you.
Harder for them to reach you. Yeah.
Exactly. So I look forward to chatting with you again. And I want to say thank you to all our viewers for watching us on this magical Monday morning for me. And I know it's Monday evening for you there in Oz somewhere. And thank you for your family for learning you to us. It was very entertaining having a dad moment there.
God bless him. I look for, I've got plenty more to say, and I look forward to coming back and sharing some of that stuff with you next time, Chantal.
Indeed.
It's been a delight chatting with you. Absolute delight.
And likewise, you're wonderful. Thank you so much, and just continue doing what you're doing. Beautiful to see. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take good care. God bless you all. Mwah. See you very, very soon.
Bye for now. Bye-bye, everybody.